Thank you, Nitsa. We'll take questions from the audience. Please just state your name if you're a student here or not. If you're not a student, what profession you come from, and please make sure it's a question and not a long statement. Yes.
My name is Ayelet. I'm in the conflict resolution and mediation program. I wanted to ask Brigadier General from UNIFIL, what, if any, is your diplomatic relation or not with Hezbollah, and how do you understand that?
The military component of UNIFIL don't have any contact with Hezbollah. The political component of UNIFIL has some, knowing that Hezbollah is also a political party in Lebanon, and a significant party, and as such Hezbollah is a political partner as other parties. But we, the military force, the UNIFIL force, don't have contacts with them. Of course, we know they are there. They are, I mean, including activists. Sometimes we come across people who we think are members of Hezbollah. The hints are their behavior, their way, their clothes, and the rest of it. But we don't engage them, and we try to remain as impartial as possible, which is part of the mandate.
Military mission is only short term and it's not a long term solution. So I'm wondering, when I was up there in the land and looked at the zone and when you follow the events, when does such a mission become just a human machine? Because the political situation changes in a way that can't fulfill its mandate anymore. And I'm asking, when does the red line come? When it stops to make sense? Maybe you could relate to the situation in Congo, if you're able. And to Patrick Bouchard, and you said capacity to analyze and adapt is key in such areas. And I found it, and I was wondering, when you look from the UNTSO perspective of the unilateral pull-out of nations like Austria, is this also a coordinate? Is this also a process problem inside the UN, or is that something we can immediately blame on internal politics? And how dangerous was the situation really? Was it exaggerated?
Regarding your first question, I mean, it's difficult to speak on behalf of UNDOF, but obviously the mandate, the current mandate, is at stake, and we can't blame any country for saying enough is enough, and we are no longer playing under such conditions where our people face, and I would say, an acceptable hazard and danger. The question between, or the link between the midterm solution and the long-term solution, the long-term prospect, the military option versus the political goals is very interesting, because sometimes the military forces can be considered hostages in a way due to political unwillingness to achieve what needs to be achieved. And the two can fuel can fuel the other way around. I mean, unwillingness to achieve a political solution can be fueled by a difficult situation on the ground, and good achievements on the ground can also be hampered by the incapacity of political sides to try to make progress, and this is what we are. I mean, it's my opinion that the current situation between Lebanon and Israel is somewhat hampered by the lack of political willingness to achieve the ultimate goal, which is a permanent ceasefire. What we can see during our tripartite meetings is that the relationship between the Israeli military, the Lebanese military, and UNIFIL is as good as possible, and there is goodwill on all sides. But above us there is this political shadow, which is the presence of which is very, very important. And at the end of the day, we can assess the lack of achievements on the ground being primarily caused by the lack of political willingness, instead of being caused by technical difficulties on the ground. Because if there is a political will, all these small problems that we deal with on a daily basis will be very, very small obstacles. But as long as there is no political will, all these tiny problems become huge.
Thank you for your second question. Can I answer the first one also a little bit? Thank you. About UNDOF, I think the question about fulfilling the mandate, it's still, we can answer yes. When you have shells that are crossing the Alpha and Bravo line, and there is a clear report who is shooting, what is the answer, what is the reaction, then definitely this is the mechanism of the armistice. And something can happen. Some contact can be taken by either side. If this cannot be solved in the field, this go to the Security Council. Their discussion, they can call permanent mission at the Security Council, conciliation room, and then you have either an agreement or a statement or sanction. So the system is working, and definitely what we can see in the Golan about the armistice, most of the armistice can be still fulfilled, I will say. About your second question, when you have a country like Austria that is pulling out the troops, I feel really very sad. Sad because you have 40 years of effort from one country that is ruined in a few days. And a total incomprehension from some actors. Austria probably put in the 40 last years 1 billion of money there, $1 billion, and most of the people don't remember that. The countries take a decision to go in a peacekeeping with a certain level of risk, a certain assessment at one point of time. And of course, it's a little bit up to them when the situation are changing to decide what to do. UN system, UN decided not to have a UN military. We are 80,000 military in UN, and they decided we go with the member states and the troop contributing country system. I have to say we have for UNTSO another effect. There is not a pull-out, but caveats. This is when a country decides I can do part of the task, but not all. And of course, because we are regional, we were able to move countries that cannot operate anymore in one country to another one. And it can be a caveat according to the situation. It can be a caveat according to an agreement. For example, the disengagement of force agreement in the Golan, both countries, Syria and Israel, agreed not to have P5 country, the 5 permanent member at the Security Council. So those are caveated in those countries. By the way, the P5 provide military observers. So we have French, American, Russian, Chinese military observer in Middle East. We have some in Jerusalem, we have some in Lebanon or in Egypt, but not in the Golan.
I'd like to add a few words on the caveats. It's very important, and we face this difficulty in all coalition warfare, in all coalition endeavors. When you have troop contributing countries, it's inevitable that you have caveats. The problem is when a country commits troops, deploy troops under a mandate, sometimes they don't warn what the caveats are. And in the face of a danger, in the face of an unexpected situation, a country can say, I'm no longer playing. I want to withdraw my troops because of current difficulty we are facing and the rest of it. So it's a difficulty which is posed to commanders on the ground to deal with all these peculiarities of countries, and bear in mind that no one can compel a country to stay. Countries are free to contribute or to not contribute. So this is something we need to respect as commanders on the ground, but it's not easy to deal with.
Of May, 1967.
That's 2 weeks. My question is, well, this is history. My question is, can this happen again now, given the differences in the legal circumstances or formulation of the circumstances under which the UN peacekeepers operate now, as compared with the situation 1967, May 67, where this event started with the Egyptian government or President Nasser simply telling the UN forces leave, and they left. Can this be replicated?
Of course, this can be the case. especially when you need a Security Council resolution every year or every 6 months, like for Andov. When they do this renewal of resolution, you must have the Security Council that agree. You must have no veto from the 5 permanent nations at the Security Council, and you must have the agreement of the hosting countries. We have 2 events the last 3 years where 2 peacekeeping missions were killed. One in Georgia, veto from Russia. This was in 2009. And one in Chad, Minurcat. That was the hosting country that refused the renewal of the mandate. It was half of the UN force were already there and half were on the boat. And this can happen in Golan, for example, this month. If one P5 nation or the Security Council or the hosting country say no, then we'll have a problem. But of course, normally when you arrive at the Security Council resolution, the day of the resolution, you have all the preparatory work that is done. And people know normally what is going to happen. For example, in the end of renewal this month, nobody expects that it will be stopped. It can, but nobody expects, because you have discussion, you have a commitment of the 2 nations, hosting country, that want still this force there, and you have a commitment from the international community, at least the P5 and the Security Council, that something is needed here.
You're very, very right. When the peace treaty between Israel and Egypt was signed, Israel was afraid that something like this will happen, and Egypt will decide that it doesn't want international force to ensure the peace treaty between Israel and Egypt. And this is why the MFO was created, the multinational force in the Sinai was created, and it is not a part of the United Nations peacekeeping mission, and the host country cannot dissolve it, cannot send it home, unless they abrogate the peace treaty. So because of what you said, Israel wanted to make sure that something like this will not happen, and the international peacekeeping and observer force in the Sinai is part of the peace agreement between Israel and Egypt, and it is not the United Nations peacekeeping force that can be dissolved by a host country that says we don't want to host them any longer.
Regarding southern Lebanon, it's not an option, because besides what we are doing along the blue line, one of the main effects of our presence is to help Lebanon to use most of their forces to face the very critical situation in the north and northeast of Lebanon, north of the Bekaa and in the Akkar area. So they definitely, government of Lebanon definitely need UNIFIL presence in the south. It's vital for them.
If you cooperate in any way, if you work together, keep you apart, how does that happen?
Thank you. Of course, in this area, the peacekeeping mission cooperate each other. So first of all, we work with UNIFIL and UNDOF with our military observer under OPCON. This is Operation Control. They decide what kind of operation our MILOPs do in their area of operation, which is not the case in other area like Egypt, for example. So we cooperate also if we have a problem with the maintenance, that for benchmarking sometimes to spare also time or money or manpower. When it comes to other UN body, of course, we cooperate about especially the security. I mentioned the meeting we have. We decided what kind of security UN people must follow in a certain time and in a certain country. And here it's key because the knowledge of each UN body will bring to this meeting, give really a good view of what's happening actually in the ground. Of course, after you have different integration, UNTSO is a purely military, so we don't work much with, for example, UNSCO or UNRWA on this. We have no cooperation as such. So it's basically security and basically for UNTSO, basically also with the other two big brother, UNDOF and UNIFIL.
In UNIFIL we work very much with UNHCR because as you know, roughly 1 million Syrians now live in Lebanon, which is huge for a country of 4.5 million people. So, I mean, what we do together is very important. We also work with UNESCO.
Do you have any levels of hierarchy between UNHCR and UNIFIL? Is there anyone like a
UNHCR is definitely definitely the leading role. We're just in support, and on top of that, we are not authorized to help refugees apart from emergency situations. It's very important to strike a balance in Lebanon between what you do for Lebanese people and what you do for refugees. If you do more for refugees than what you do for the locals, that would create huge tensions, which would be difficult to manage afterwards.
I'm Daniel from the Master's Program of Conflict Resolution. I know one of the main goals of UN Security Council Resolution 1701 is the disarmament of Hezbollah in addition to the swapping, the smuggling of weapons to them. What role does UNIFIL play now, or should they play in actually giving that more teeth?
You mean what?
One of the main goals, or one of the goals of UN Resolution 1701 was disarming Hezbollah and stopping the flow of weapons into the organization. What role does UNIFIL play in actually trying to make this happen? And what other things could be done?
I'm sorry, but disarming Hezbollah has never been stated that way in the mandate. We UNIFIL are definitely supporting the Lebanese armed forces and the government of Lebanon in their endeavor to ensure that southern Lebanon is an area free of weapons. So we are supporting them. We're not the leaders. And we are not entitled to take action directly unless there is some evidence of an imminent action that is likely to threaten the security of Israel. And that is very important. So it's a difficult question anyway, because we all know that Hezbollah is a very strong, I would say, component in Lebanon. Everyone knows that they still have weapons, and they probably have weapons in southern Litani, but also north of Litani, which is not in our area of operation. But dealing with these Hezbollah armament is first a political issue, and it's one of the key topics in the political agenda of President Sleiman, the president of the Republic of Lebanon, and trying to find a political solution regarding the weapons of Hezbollah is something extremely difficult, because in Lebanon you have Hezbollah, which is still considered by many, not only the Shia, but almost all Lebanese people, considered the party of the resistance against Israel back to the war of 2006. And they use this reputation for claiming the right to retain weapons. So weapons of Hezbollah are first and foremost a political issue rather than a purely military and security issue. But all we can say is that the presence and the daily patrols, daily operational actions of UNIFIL have definitely an impact on limiting the freedom of action of Hezbollah in terms of rearmament. Definitely.
To go along with that, I'm Shoshana. I'm also in the conflict resolution program. You report violations, correct?
Yes.
So are most of those violations, do you find most of them are done by Hezbollah, or where are the violations tied?
The most visible violations are done by the IDF, definitely. In average, both UAVs, unmanned vehicles, and Israeli fighters perform between 10 and 80 hours of overflight above Lebanon every day. All over Lebanon, mostly in places where they have something to see and to watch and to monitor. So I would say two-thirds are south of I would say the parallel of Saida. Two-thirds are on the south, one-third is in the north. But these air violations are something very visible. Israeli presence north of the Blue Line, which occurs on several occasions in northern Gajar, are also considered violations. On the other hand, we also monitor and report on Lebanese violations. For example, a shepherd with 80 sheep and goats crossing the Blue Line by 10 meters, 10 or 15 meters, to get the flock to access better grass is considered a violation, and we report this kind of violations every day. Hunting is not authorized in southern Lebanon, but in Lebanon everyone is authorized to have a gun, a hunting gun at home. It's not authorized to use it, but you're authorized to have it because it's part of the culture. But hunting birds is not authorized, and everyone we monitor hunting, we report it, and this is also considered a violation. So, in other words, I would say 95% of violations are something that should obviously be considered not significant, but they are violations. And there is a great deal of, mutual grievances concerning these violations. And for all significant violations, we make inquiries and a report. So there is a great deal of, I would say, administrative business linked with all these violations. And that is reported up the chain of command down to New York. I don't have a definite good answer to your question. I understand these concerns. I just remind you that we are not, UNIFIL, we are not entitled to search for weapons in private property. This is only a government of Lebanon responsibility. I know it's a limitation, but my guess is that if we were too much pushy, we can. It's a matter of choice. If you are very proactive and harsh, it works one time or two times, and the day after, you may face a very, very difficult situation where your freedom of movement, for example, is very limited due to an overreaction across the area. So you need to retain this capability of taking action, but to use it when it's appropriate. And if you use it on too many occasions, you lose your credibility and you get people to overreact to your presence. Bear in mind that we are deployed in southern Lebanon. We live with the locals. We are 12,000 people emerged within a population which is roughly 500,000 people. So not having good relationship with the locals is not an option. Otherwise, we will have to stay in our compounds without being able to deploy and to move. So this is a reality we need to take into account. Taking hard and robust action is still something we can do, and we have the weapons to do so, but we have to think, ahead, and to understand what would be the reactions to these actions. Sorry, say again?
We have time for one more question.
My name is Benji Rogers. I'm in the Conflict Resolution and Mediation Program. My question is actually about Congo. I don't know how much experience you have there, but recently the UN has authorized about 3,000 forces to go on a offensive operation. Can you talk about how that may change the future of UN peacekeeping?
Are you Russian? Because this was the first reaction of Russia, saying with the two new mandates in Mali and the new offensive brigade in Congo, this will change how peacekeeping will be conducted in the future. Actually, here we are in Congo with a Chapter 7 mandate. You can use the force to implement the mandate, which is not the case in the whole Middle East. We have also to see why is it Chapter 6 and why is it Chapter 7. Is maybe the lower common denominator that all countries agreed. And sometimes it's not the best, of course. But when we come to this brigade, till now they had the possibility to use the force. In 2009, when Nkunda, with the Tutsis rebel, came to Goma in North Kivu, he was told to stop. He didn't stop. The Indian helicopter of UN took the air and killed 300 people of Nkunda. And that stopped the attack. This was done in 2009. The last attack on Goma last year, no reaction. And now UN decided to have an offensive brigade to get rid of the problem. First of all, the brigade is not yet in place. Second, the security of UN people, but also UN volunteer NGOs and this will be at stake, definitely. If UN starts to fight those people seriously, then it's very easy for them to have operation that will stop this kind of operation. Killing foreigners, killing UN people that are just helping to child protection, women that were sexually abused and this and that. Those people are not protected. So very challenging for UN. Let's see what will happen. They had the capacity, they were not using it at full in Congo, and now they go even one step further. A very challenging time, I would say.
Anyway, these capabilities are consistent with the mandate. So, it is the responsibility of the drafters of the mandate and of those who vote for the resolution to endorse their consequences. But, military don't have the responsibility for the drafting of this mandate.
We'd like to thank our distinguished guests for coming this afternoon and sharing their experiences with us. Thank you also to Professor Nachmias for chairing this event, and to the staff of the International Program in Conflict Resolution Mediation, Danielle Longo and Talia Bensour, in helping with the behind-the-scenes logistics for the event. And thank you all for coming. I think I can speak for myself and for those of us who are here, whether it's for 10 months or a longer period, that as much as for many of us, I think I can safely say we appreciate you being here in the region and doing your job, but also echoing what you both said in your speeches, that you hope that your mandate here is a soon-to-be memory for us here. Hopefully we can move forward in terms of peace in the region. Thank you again for coming this evening. Please stay tuned on our website and our Facebook page for future events similar to this and in others related to conflict resolution. Thank you.